The forest makes no sound, not the crunch of boot on snow, not the whisper of wind through pine, not even the breath of the man lying flat against the frozen earth, his cheek pressed to a rifle stock worn smooth by 10,000 repetitions. It is December the 17th, 1939. The temperature is 40 degrees below zero. The light is the color of steel. 300 meters away, a Soviet patrol moves through the trees. 9 men in long coats, their rifles slung, their faces raw from the cold. They are talking, complaining. One lights a cigarette. The orange ember floats like a tiny sun in the white void. The man in the snow does not move. His name is Simo Heiha. He is 33 years old, 5 feet 3 inches tall, and until 6 weeks ago, he milked cows for a living. Now he does something else. He exhales slowly through his nose, never through the mouth, never a visible cloud of breath, and settles the iron sight on the man with the cigarette. His finger rests along the trigger guard. Not yet, not yet. The patrol leader raises his hand. The column stops. They sense something, the way animals sense a predator they cannot see. The forest has gone too quiet, too still. One of them turns, scanning the tree line. Heiha holds a mouthful of snow on his tongue. It suppresses the vapor. It turns his breath invisible. The soldier stares directly at his position, sees nothing, turns away. The crack of the rifle is swallowed by the trees before the echo can form. The soldier with the cigarette drops. The others scatter, shouting, firing blindly into white emptiness. By the time they look again, there is only forest, only snow, only the wind beginning to cover the single set of tracks leading away into nothing. They call it Metsakauhu, forest fear. It begins as rumor. A Soviet lieutenant in the 44th Rifle Division writes in his journal that his men refuse to enter certain sectors. They say the trees are haunted, that the snow itself is watching. 3 snipers sent to clear a ridgeline never return. Their bodies are found a week later, frozen in position, rifles still loaded. No one saw the shooter. The Red Army has faced machine gun nests, artillery, minefields, but this is different. This is personal. Soldiers begin to understand that every step into the Finnish wilderness might be their last, not because of an explosive or a bullet storm, but because somewhere in the white silence, a man they will never see is watching. Soviet command dispatches counter-sniper units, trained marksmen with scoped Mosin Nagants, and orders to hunt the ghost. They set up in concealed positions, scan the sectors, wait for movement. Some last a day. Some last an hour. One team reports a single shot at dawn, then silence. When reinforcements arrive, they find both men dead, 40 meters apart, each killed by a round through the temple. The shooter used iron sights. Panic spreads. Soldiers refuse to move during daylight. They crouch behind trees, smoking in silence, watching the forest like it might suddenly come alive. Some desert, others shoot at shadows. In one incident, a Soviet platoon fires 800 rounds into an empty snowbank after a branch snaps. There is no one there, but somewhere, always somewhere, Simo Heiha is watching. He has become something more than a soldier. He has become the winter itself, patient, invisible, and absolutely unforgiving. 6 weeks earlier, the world was different. On November 30th, 1939, Stalin ordered 750,000 Soviet troops across the Finnish border. The pretext was thin. A shelling incident the Finns denied, a diplomatic insult manufactured in Moscow. The real reason was empire. Finland was small, underarmed, and in the way. The Soviet High Command expected victory in 2 weeks. Western analysts agreed. Finland had 32 million people, fewer than the USSR, an army a fraction of the size, and winter closing in. It should have been a massacre, but the Soviets did not understand three things. First, the terrain. Finland is not flat steppe or open field. It is forest, dense, dark, and endless. Roads are few. Tanks sink in snow. Columns become targets. Every tree is cover. Every ridge is a kill zone. Second, the cold. Soviet troops were equipped for a quick war, not a winter campaign. Their uniforms were thin. Their boots froze solid. Frostbite claimed more men than bullets in the first month. Finnish soldiers, by contrast, moved on skis, wore layered wool, and knew how to survive at temperatures that turned diesel to sludge. Third, the Finns themselves. They were not professional soldiers. They were farmers, loggers, hunters, men who had spent their entire lives in these forests. Men like Simo Haiha, who grew up in Rautjärvi, a farming village near the Soviet border. He learned to shoot at 7. By 13, he was hunting game to feed his family. By 30, he could place a bullet through a running fox at 200 meters with iron sights. When the call came, he packed his rifle, a Finnish modified Mosin Nagant M2830, kissed his mother, and walked into the snow. He did not think of glory. He thought of home, of land his family had worked for generations, of a border that could not be allowed to move. The Kola riverfront is where men go to freeze or die. It is a thin line of Finnish defenders, fewer than 4,000, holding back a Soviet force 10 times their size. The temperature drops to -43°C. Diesel fuel turns to jelly. Rifle bolts freeze shut. Soldiers wake with their eyelids crusted together. Haiha arrives in early December and is assigned to a unit tasked with harassing Soviet advances. There is no grand strategy, no coordinated assault. Just small groups of men moving through the forest, striking fast, disappearing faster. He works alone. Each morning, before dawn, he moves to a position he scouted the day before. Sometimes a snowbank, sometimes a fallen log. Always low, always concealed, always with an escape route planned. He packs snow in front of his rifle to eliminate muzzle flash. He wraps his face in white cloth. He lies motionless for hours, breathing through his nose, holding snow in his mouth to kill the vapor. When a target appears, an officer, a soldier lighting a cigarette, anyone who pauses too long, he fires once and leaves. Never a second shot. Never from the same position twice. The Soviets begin to adjust. They send patrols in irregular patterns. They avoid open ground. They stop smoking. But Haiha adjusts faster. He learns their rhythms. He reads their fear. He knows that a man who expects death will move differently than a man who feels safe. And he waits for the moment the difference shows. One night, a Finnish officer asks him how many he has killed. Haiha does not answer. He cleans his rifle in silence, checks his ammunition, and sleeps for 3 hours in a snow trench with his coat pulled over his head. When he wakes, he returns to the forest. The count does not matter. Only the line matters, only holding the line. By mid-January, Soviet commanders know his name. They call him Belaya Smert, the White Death. Intelligence reports describe him as a phantom, a sniper of unprecedented lethality operating somewhere along the Kola front. The numbers are staggering. 50 confirmed kills, then 100, then 200. Each one verified by Finnish officers, each one a Soviet soldier who stepped into the wrong tree line at the wrong time. But it is not the numbers that terrify the Red Army. It is the method. Haiha refuses a telescopic sight. In the bitter cold, a scope lens fogs and frosts, and even on clear days it catches sunlight, a glint that betrays position. So he uses iron sights, the same open notch and post setup a hunter uses on a deer rifle. At ranges where most snipers need magnification, he trusts his eyes and a lifetime of practice. He also understands something deeper, that silence is a weapon. Most snipers fire, adjust, fire again. Heha fires once. If the target drops, he is already moving. If the target does not drop, he waits, sometimes hours, before attempting another shot. He never announces himself. He never gives the enemy a second chance to triangulate his position. And he knows the snow. Every morning, he studies the way light falls across the drifts. He learns which angles reveal footprints, which shadows conceal movement. He positions himself so the sun is behind him, so his silhouette dissolves into the glare. He becomes a part of the landscape, not hidden in it, but woven into it, as natural as a rock or a stump. Soviet soldiers begin to crack. Some refuse to leave their bunkers. Others fire blindly into the trees, wasting ammunition on ghosts. One officer orders an artillery barrage on a suspected sniper position, 30 shells into an empty hillside. When the smoke clears, there is only snow. And that night, 2 more men die. Hey is not a ghost, but he has learned to move like one. The Soviets send their best. Counter-snipers arrive from Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev, men trained in urban warfare, trench combat, and long-range engagements. They carry scoped rifles, spotting scopes, and orders to eliminate the White Death at any cost. They do not return. One team positions itself on a ridge overlooking a Finnish supply route. They have concealment, elevation, and patience. For 2 days, they wait. On the 3rd morning, at dawn, one of them is shot through the side of the head. The other fires 20 rounds into the forest and retreats. He is found the next day, frozen, a bullet through his chest. Hey had been 70 meters away, prone in a depression so shallow it barely qualified as cover. He waited until the first sniper moved, just a slight adjustment of posture, and fired. The second sniper panicked. Heha did not. The Soviets try artillery. They shell suspected positions based on sighting reports, firing blindly into grid squares where Heha might be. The barrages are massive, hundreds of shells, entire hillsides obliterated. Heha hears them coming and moves. When the shelling stops, he returns. Sometimes to the same position, sometimes to one nearby. He is never where they expect. They try mortars. They try coordinated assaults, 3 platoons sweeping a sector simultaneously, hoping to flush him out. He watches them pass 50 meters away and does nothing. When they declare the area clear and relax, he kills the officer at the rear of the column and vanishes. By February, Soviet morale on the Kola front has collapsed. Soldiers move only at night. They dig deeper trenches. They stop volunteering for patrols. Desertion rates climb. One regiment requests reassignment, claiming the sector is cursed. Hey, meanwhile, continues his routine. Scout, position, wait, shoot, leave. His rifle has no name. His uniform has no insignia. He does not keep a journal. He simply wakes each day and does the work. Word spreads beyond the front. Finnish newspapers publish stories, carefully censored but inspiring. The farmer-turned-sniper becomes a symbol of resistance, proof that a small nation can bleed a giant. Soldiers in other sectors begin adopting his methods. White camouflage, iron sights, extreme patience. The Finnish military issues standing orders. Minimize movement, maximize concealment, never fire twice from the same position. The Soviets, meanwhile, adjust their entire tactical doctrine. Officers forbid troops from bunching together. Smoking is banned in forward positions. Soldiers are ordered to move in irregular patterns, never in straight lines. Patrols are pulled back from the deepest forests. Entire regiments are kept in reserve rather than risk exposure. But the damage is already done. The Red Army has lost more than soldiers. It has lost the psychological edge. Soviet troops no longer believe they are liberators marching into a weak, backward nation. They believe they are walking into a meat grinder where death is invisible and inevitable. International observers take note. Western journalists, initially dismissive of Finland's chances, begin filing dispatches about the miracle in the snow. Analysts study the tactics. Military theorists debate the implications. If one man with a rifle can terrorize an entire division, what does that mean for the future of warfare? Simo Heihi does not read the newspapers. He does not know he is famous. He wakes before dawn, walks into the forest, and does what he has always done, protect the land he was born on. The rest is noise. By early March, his confirmed kill count reaches 505. Some estimates place it higher, 542, 700, more. The Finnish military cannot verify every claim, and Heiha himself never counts. But the number becomes irrelevant. What matters is the fear. What matters is the line that did not break. There is a physics to what Heiha does, though he would never call it that. A bullet fired at 300 meters drops roughly 2 meters due to gravity. Wind at 5 kilometers per hour pushes it 30 centimeters off course. The curvature of a trajectory, the spin of a round, the way cold air thickens and slows velocity, all of it matters. Most snipers compensate with scopes and calculations. Heihi compensates with instinct. He has fired his rifle so many times that he no longer thinks about the shot. His body knows the angle of the barrel, the pressure of his finger, the rhythm of his breath. It is all automatic, a language spoken without words. When he sees a target, his mind does not calculate. It recognizes, the way a pianist recognizes a chord. But beyond physics, there is something older. Patience is not the same as waiting. Waiting is passive. Patience is active. A deliberate control of impulse. A refusal to act until the moment is perfect. Heiha can lie in the snow for 6 hours without moving, his muscles screaming, his skin numb, his mind alert. He does not fight the discomfort. He accepts it. He becomes it. The Soviets lose because they expect war to be loud. They expect movement, aggression, dominance. Heiha wins because he understands that war can also be silence, that the absence of action is itself a tactic, that sometimes the man who does nothing until the exact right moment is the most dangerous man on the battlefield. Finnish officers later study his methods and find something surprising. He is not exceptional because of superior equipment or training. He is exceptional because he refuses to act like a soldier. He acts like a hunter. And in the forests of Finland, where the line between predator and prey is measured in split seconds and frozen breath, that is the only thing that matters. March 6, 1940, the 100th day. Simo Heiha is lying in his usual position, a shallow depression behind a snowbank, rifle braced, eyes scanning the Soviet lines. The morning is quiet, no patrols, no movement, just the pale light filtering through the pines, then impact. An explosive round, some say a rifle grenade, others an anti-tank rifle, strikes him in the left side of his face. The bullet tears through his jaw, shattering bone, ripping away teeth and tissue. He collapses into the snow, unconscious, blood pooling beneath him. Finnish soldiers find him hours later, still breathing. They carry him back through the forest on a stretcher, certain he will die. His face is unrecognizable, his pulse is faint. They lay him in a field hospital and wait. He wakes 7 days later, The war ends 6 days after that. On March 13, 1940, Finland signs the Moscow Peace Treaty. The Soviets claim victory. They take 10% of Finnish territory. But they do not take the nation. The cost was too high. 120 Akuzi, 175 Soviet dead, 209 wounded, and a reputation shattered. The Red Army, which invaded expecting an easy conquest, limped home humiliated. Simo Häyhä survives. His jaw is reconstructed over multiple surgeries. He will never look the same. He will never speak the same. But he lives. He returns to Rautjärvi, what is left of it, and goes back to farming. He breeds dogs. He hunts. When asked about the war, he says only, "I did what I was told to do, as well as I could." He dies in 2002 at the age of 96 in a veterans' nursing home. His rifle is donated to a Finnish military museum. His story is taught in sniper schools around the world. But the man himself remains a mystery. A quiet farmer who became the deadliest sniper in history, then returned to silence. The forests of Kola are still there. The snow still falls each winter, covering the trenches and the scars, the places where men dug into the earth and refused to move. The trees have grown back. The silence has returned. Tourists visit sometimes. They walk the trails, read the plaques, try to imagine what it was like. But the forest does not give up its secrets. It holds them the way it held Simo Häyhä, quietly, completely, without judgment. There is a lesson in the snow if you know how to read it. It is not about killing. It is not about war. It is about what a person becomes when everything they love is threatened, when the choice is not between courage and fear, but between surrender and endurance. Häyhä did not want to be a legend. He wanted to milk cows and live in peace. But when the moment came, he did not hesitate. He walked into the cold, laid down in the snow, and became what his country needed him to be. Not a hero, not a killer, just a man who knew the land better than the enemy did, and who refused to let that land be taken. His rifle is behind glass now. His face is in photographs, half destroyed, half smiling. But somewhere in the Finnish forests, in the white silence between the trees, you can still feel him, not as a ghost, as a presence, as a reminder that the smallest person in the coldest place can become the last thing an empire ever sees, not because they wanted glory, because they refused to let their home become a grave. If stories like this remind you why endurance matters more than strength, and why silence can be the loudest answer, subscribe and keep these lessons alive.